want you to tell me where you are from, where your parents came from, where your grandparents came from, and then at the end I want you to speak your language.
Hello. My name is Eddie, and that's a hard question to answer. I recently found out some of the history about how my mother's side of the family immigrated to Canada. Both of her sides of the family came from Czechoslovakia. Her mother's side of the family met after they had been living here for several years. Elizabeth Cleach came here to visit and to live with her brother. She arrived in Halifax thinking that was close enough that she would be able to visit him. In Vancouver, Andrew Sakalik was able to come to Canada because he was sponsored by a farmer in Manitoba. After working on the farm, he managed to get a job with the Canadian Pacific Railway. This job eventually led him to arriving in Toronto, where they both met and got married. After some correspondence with a Professor Day from the Ontario Agricultural College in Guelph, they found out about the formation of what is now known as the Holland Marsh. This was an opportunity they accepted, so they made their way to the Bradford area. Here, they were some of the first settlers in the area to work on the marsh. They had two daughters, Julie and Pauline. Julie still lives in Bradford to this day. Now, my mother's father's side, they were married before they came here. They actually had 3 children who unfortunately did not survive. The oldest was 18 months when they passed. So they started to search for a better life, and they came to Canada. Paul Yursa arrived in Niagara in 1928. He worked odd jobs for about 3 years, sending money back home to his family. Then, in 1931, Susan Dapasek arrived, and the two decided they were going to move north. They ended up settling in Dryden, Ontario. Here they had 3 sons, John, Edward, and Joseph. After an incident in the mine left Paul's left eye blind, he lost his job. So at this point, they decided to pack up and move back to Slovakia. They stopped in Toronto to say goodbye to some family friends, who actually convinced them to stay. Here, Paul got his first ever full-time job at the Canadian Pacific Railway. After they settled in Toronto, they had 2 more children, Anna and Emil. Unfortunately, Anna passed away at 3 months of age. Now, Pauline Sakalik and Ed Jursa eventually met each other, as Ed would constantly be traveling, playing in bands for Slovak community events. Pauline became a teacher at the age of 17 and taught until 1994. Edward was both a police officer and a clothing designer, predominantly prom dresses. They had 4 children, their second being my mother. She and my father met working in Toronto. The reason my family was able to thrive and survive in Canada is all thanks to the numerous treaties that were made across Turtle Island. From the Oswegatchie Treaty of 1760 to Treaty 381, the Niagara Purchase, which was one of the first instances of acquiring land in what is now known as Upper Canada. That was signed in 1781. The Northwest Angle Treaty, or Treaty 3, which was actually partly to enable safe passage for troops headed to Red River, Manitoba, to help deal with some uprisings. The Williams Treaty of 1923 and the Lake Simcoe-Nottawasaga Treaty No. 18. The Toronto Purchase of 1805, which is to try and clarify some of the terms of the Gunshot Treaty or the Johnson-Butler Treaty, which is also the thing. If it was not for these treaties, none of my family would be here, and that would mean I wouldn't be here. Moye Menoe Eddie, Somze Perisound Berie, Jakuyem Yuksumash.